Okay. Hey! Welcome! What's it?
It took like 3 attempts to get into my room to get clothes and get dressed. Oh!
You don't need clothes?
Oh my gosh, I'm overrated.
Okay.
Wearing like an old sweatshirt and a really stained long skirt and socks. Neat, that's what I'm wearing.
I would take them.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome everybody. In Living Chassidus style, we are getting better at starting exactly on time.
Now we can sit. Come closer.
This is all recorded. Great. So, I want to welcome everybody as they buzz their way in the door. She is coming.
Really?
Yes. Yay! Okay. So, this is our second Farbrengen for this year's 60 days. Hey! Yay! Oh my goodness, that's so exciting. You just beat me to it. One more minute. I'm just giving out gifts.
Oh, of course. Yes, I'll be here to see. Hi.
Hi.
Oh, I know some of you.
Yay!
Is it okay for
Yes, that's your seat.
Okay.
I'm gonna move you as soon as I leave.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to thank our sponsor for tonight's gift, and let me tell you what she says. Okay, so tonight is sponsored thanks to Daniela Comboy and her family. In praise and thanks to Hashem's infinite goodness, kindness, and protection from harm, protecting and keeping my sister Ariel Bas Esther safe. Baruch Hashem. So only brachas and reveal good to both of them. And a huge thank you to her for sponsoring tonight's gift. And I'm going to announce our recipients for our gift. So in true Living Chassidus tradition, we have, as Ariella just pointed out, we have supplied a lot of things for your Shabbos table. Last year we gave out this match tray. So when you light, you finish, you put it down. So this year we are providing you with the matches. Yay! So we'll be giving everybody a little match case. On the front it has 770, and then on the back it has the bracha in Hebrew, English, and in transliteration. So I'll give it off over to. Okay, so we'll start. Ariella Salzberg and Batya Levitan, Bracha Zirkind, Candace Smith, Connie Albuquerque, Chaya Matasa, which a huge shout out to Chaya yet again for handling all of our points and hands up. So thank you to her. Chaya Weisner, Dvorah Tamir, yay! Essa Citrin, Roma Hershkovich, Beulah Nutik, Tamar Lepley, there you go. And Lacey Balaj, my mother, Mary Vogel, Navi Schleifer, yay! Ricky Winner, Rivka Tauber, Rivka Namarovsky, Rivka Gillis, Rivka Leavider, Rachel Weisfish, Ruth Pennon, Sarli Babir, Sara Golitz, Sasha Barzano, yay! Sima Shafit, Yocheved Segal, and Yosefa Wood Eisenberg.
Who's on the computer?
Yay, Yosefa! Here's your prize. To be mailed to you very soon. Okay, so we have the wonderful Smuts. I decided to be brave and ask Mrs. Sara Hurwitz.
Call me Sara.
Sara. We met at the college teacher training course. Graduates. And I just, the moment I met her, I just had this incredible feeling. And the more I have interacted with you and seeing your posts on the WhatsApp, the more inspired I am. So I hope you can. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me. I'm so happy to be here because for me, when you have to put your thoughts together in your mind, it kind of helps you get your, we should have hopefully started our tshuva process right in the beginning of Chodesh Elul. But at the same time, now that it's right before Rosh Hashanah, I'm so happy that I'm here so I can be spending it, instead of being in the house, putting the kids to sleep and rushing my last minute things before Shabbos, I'm here and we can be inspired together. So I'd love to hear who you are, if we can do that. Is that okay? We can go around and hear your name. Tamir, nice to meet you.
We've never met.
We know each other. Our daughters are in the same. They're in the
same class years ago.
So nice. Baruch Hashem. We know you. Tamar, nice to meet you. Hi, Sasha. Connie, I also know from school, from camp, maybe, right?
Ariel.
And Ariel. Okay, so nice to meet you all here today. I'm actually not the story type. It's funny, whenever a speaker starts with a story, I'll always kind of space out in the back of my mind. I don't connect really to stories, but I do know that many people do connect to stories, and it's important. So I'll try to incorporate a few in what I say. I'm going to begin with like a little anecdote of the Chalmite, a young man who it was his time of the week to go into the bathhouse, and he was very concerned because he would have to undress and then look like everybody else, and he was a little nervous that he wouldn't know who he was when he came out of the bathhouse. So he had to come up with a solution. So he was thinking, and then he said, "Hey, I'll take a red string, I'll tie it around my big toe, and then once I come out of the water, I'll make sure to check and see if I have that red string on my toe, and once I do, I'll know that it's me." So he had a solution made. He tied a red string. He goes down the stairs into the bathhouse, and of course, everybody looks the same. And he comes out of the big bathhouse, and he's standing on the tiles, and he looks down, and he sees that he doesn't have the string on his toe, and he just panics because he says to himself, "Now, how am I going to know who I am?" And then he looks at his neighbor, and of course, they're both looking the same in their bodysuit, in their birthday suit. And he looks at his neighbor's toe and sees that the neighbor has the red string on it. And he says, "Oh, sir, I see that you know who you are and you found yourself, but how am I going to know who I am? And how am I going to find myself?" I actually read this story in Esther Jungwirth's book called Life is a Test. It's a wonderful book if any of you want to read it. Have any of you read it? And once I read that, it kind of resonated with me because to me, you can learn a lot of lessons from the story. The lesson that really spoke to me was, each of us have that red string in our lives. We each have that thing that kind of tells us that we kind of judge, this is who we are. I can be a stay-at-home mom with my kids. I go to work as a teacher. I'm the one who does drum circles. I'm actually in special ed. Oh, what do you do? We each have that thing that says who we are about us. And once we lose that string, who do we become? So each of us in life do come to some points where we say, "Hey, where did that thing go?" I had, so many of my friends are married and having children, and I'm still single. What am I? And we come to that place where we start to question who we really are. And really the concept of tshuva is about ripping off all those layers, whether it be, for us, the red string can be the personality, Oh, I'm loud, I'm outgoing, I'm sociable, I'm fun. There are all of these things that kind of define us, but that's not really who we are, okay? And when certain circumstances in life bring us to places where we start to question our identity, and at those points, they're really gifts. Sometimes they pose us challenges. Usually they're challenges. They make us question, who are we really for real? And taking away all those layers, we got to strip all those layers that we kind of see as our identity and know who we are for real. Because really, it's the Pintel Yid that defines us. It's the neshama. That's what we are for real. And And the minute that we veer away from that, and the moment that we start to define ourselves by these external things that are really external, that's going away from the neshama. And when we turn away from what our mission is, each of our individual missions in this world, when we turn away from that, that's when we begin to feel that anxiety. We start to feel anxious. We have angst. We have a lack of peace of mind. Hi, nice to meet you. Thanks for joining. So it's so fascinating to me. Like, we take so much care of our physical bodies, and all of you are here, so you also want to feed your souls, obviously. But every single day when we wake up in the morning, we eat, we make sure that we're well fed, or we're feeding the people that are in our lives, right? We drink, our body tells us we're thirsty, we listen, and we make sure to drink. We're tired, we say we're gonna have an early night tonight. We're bored, we make sure to entertain ourselves. All of these physical things and symptoms that our bodies show when they need something, we kind of follow, and we make sure to listen to them. But how does the neshama express itself when it's calling? What does it sound like? Do you guys have, how does your neshama sound when it's feeling like it needs to come out and it needs to shine?
It more shows in a physical way. Like it more shows in the fact that you're more involved with physical. And then you forgot. Like that's how you.
Okay, you're touching a really interesting point. But how does the neshama talk?
We have anxiety.
Exactly. So the way our neshama speak is actually through anxiety. When we feel that, we feel kind of empty, we feel lonely, we can feel sad, or we feel anxious. And in our world, we define those things by saying, oh, maybe I need to go on Prozac. Or most of the people that are out there say, hey, I must have a chemical imbalance, let me go for therapy. And they speak and they'll talk, and that's great. It's important to talk, right? It says that when somebody has worries, you need to speak up your worries. But usually, and I'm not going to say, sometimes there is a chemical imbalance, and it's always important to take care of our health, physical and mental health, and emotional health. But we also have to remember spiritual health. Because when the neshama calls out, it's usually, you will experience symptoms of anxiety. You're going to be nervous. You're not going to be able to pinpoint, what is it that's bothering me? Okay? And this is very subtle. And much of the time, like Connie mentioned, we usually express it in physical ways. So what she was saying is, I think, and you tell me if this is what you meant, our neshamas express anxiety, and then in order to touch and to try to fix that, because it takes a lot of work to have to do soul work. So instead of actually doing the soul work, we kind of veer to overeating, right? Or we'll veer to doing physical things to try to calm down our neshama. We'll take a walk with a friend, or we don't want to be alone at those moments when we're anxious. We don't. We want to do other things that will distract us and take us away from there. Are you guys following? Is that what you meant when you said what you said?
No, exactly, but
okay, so this is the way we work. Okay, this is why we have shopaholicism, right? You know, we're shopaholics. There are people that are shopaholics. There are people that do addictive behaviors. There are people who take, right, drug abuse, alcohol abuse. What they're doing is they're running away from who they are. They're afraid. What are they afraid of? They're afraid of themselves. They're afraid to get to know themselves and who they are for real. Because it takes time, it takes strength to get to know your inner demons, and we all have them. And it's about fulfilling what we're here in this world. Okay, so there's a macrocosm of what we're here for. Each of us are created for a mission. What's the macrocosmic mission? For us to fulfill as Yidden, to do what? What are we here for? Torah mitzvahs, to do Torah mitzvahs. But then each of us has a microcosmic mission. We are each a microcosm. Every single person is a small world. We're each a unique world. And each of us, with our neshama and our potentials, were created with a mission. When I say mission, I mean a unique mission that nobody else has. And this is what many people spend years of their lives trying to find themselves. What are they meant to do in this world? And it's a question that we hit in our 20s, right? When people start going to college, what am I going to do? What do I want to do for my career? And it goes into the 30s, where people start finding themselves, and then the 40s, and then we have 50s, where people have midlife crisis, because we always have that constant struggle. The soul is always searching, what are we here for in this world? What was I created for? What am I meant to do? Each of us and our souls have a unique mission. And we need to find that. We need to find what our soul was created for. And how we do that is a whole separate talk, but maybe we'll touch on that. What can help us find what we're meant to be doing. But this is essentially what the call of the shofar is all about. Okay, what do you guys hear today in the hallway of Beis Rivka? I brought my daughters to Beis Rivka, and Rabbi Newman, who's the principal there, has all the girls are lined up against the walls, ready to go into their classrooms with their teachers, and Rabbi Newman is standing at the head, and he begins to blow the shofar. And it's a beautiful thing, standing there. Everybody is frozen. I'm listening to the sound of the shofar, and I look around and I'm thinking, what is everybody thinking? What is everybody thinking when the shofar is blowing? What are people feeling? What's going through their psyche? So what is it that you women feel when you hear the shofar? What is it? What does it do for you? Does it do anything? Sometimes it can be, I really don't feel anything. I don't know what to feel. Right? Is it that? What do you feel when you hear the shofar? Quiet, kid. So that's definitely a Rosh Hashana, a stress that us mothers do have. But what is it that we feel when we hear the shofar? What is it? What's the sound of the shofar? Crying. The sound of the shofar is crying. It's a crying sound, and it's the cry of the neshama.
Cry. I have no other kid.
Right. Exactly. But that's what it is. It's so important to do that for children, for adults, see? Because the kids get it more than we do. It's just so pure. And we kind of desensitized ourselves over all the years, and now we have to work extra hard getting our neshamas back. Because we've been in the world so much longer. We've been tainted by all the physicality so much more. But don't lose hope. He's still shining. She's still shining in the neshama. But my point here is that the neshama is the cry of the shofar is the cry of the soul. And when we hear the shofar, we're meant to be concentrating on, well, amongst many other things, it's like a trumpet that makes Hashem king. It crowns Hashem as king. Many things. But what resonates with me when I listen to the sound of the shofar, especially in Chodesh Elul, is my neshama. My neshama is calling out, this is the cry of my neshama. And what am I doing for my neshama? How am I feeding it? How do I help it? So of course we're sitting here and we're trying to tune in. That's why we're here. We're trying to tune into that sound. But what are we doing to feed our neshama? Like I said before, we make sure to eat, we make sure to drink, we make sure to take care of our physical selves. But what do we do for our souls? And that is like it's so important to be in tune to our neshamas, because this is why we were brought down here. And like I said before, the moment we're going to veer away from that, and the moment we're going to say, lose track, or not be in touch with it, or get carried away with our day-to-day things, and we do, and it's okay, because we're living in the physical world, so we have to be physical people. But we can't forget to be in touch with our neshama and to feed it. Because the more we veer away, the more anxiety we're going to feel. And the more we're gonna lose track of what we're meant to do. I have an interesting story of, what was the story I wanted to say? I have it written down. It's a story of a trolley driver. He was an immigrant, and he came in to get some work. And the boss told him what he needed to do. It's a trolley. It goes on a track just like a train. And he needs to, go on this track and come back home with the money that you received. So the trolley driver goes out the first day, and he's on the track, and it's kind of boring for him because there's very few people, and he comes back with a little bit of money. And the boss says, very good, keep it up. And he goes out again on this trolley drive, picking up a few people, taking a little bit of money, and he's back again, and he says to himself, something is missing. I mean, this is really like quiet. This is like, I need something more. I need something that's going to stimulate me more. I'm starting to fall asleep on the trolley. It's boring. And he decides he'll pick up more people. He'll veer off a little bit on the track. Turn off a little bit. And then he's certain that he's going to find more people. Sure enough, that's what he did. He turned away off the track a bit, and there were so many more people. So many more people. It was so busy. People got on, people got off, and to him, he had people to talk to. He felt like he was doing something. Now he was really doing something. He comes back from his long day of work, and he's really proud of himself. And he brings his big sack to the boss, and he says, look, Mr. Trolleyman boss, I have a big sack of money for you. Look what I got. I did big things today. And the boss looks at him and says, where have you been? How did you get all this money? And he says, well, I noticed that there was just so little few people that I was picking up on the first trolley track. I said, I better just, make something more of myself. And the boss looked at him and he said, you're fired. And the trolleyman looks at the boss and says, are you crazy? Like, I brought you back more money. I've been a bigger success. Why are you firing me? And he said, because you went off the track. That wasn't the purpose they set you on for. You just on the wrong track. And to me, and like I said in the beginning, story don't really resonate with me. But it's such a real, the message is so real. And that is, so many times we're on the track, and we're on the right track, and we're doing what we need to do. And not always do we feel so good about what we're doing, because it kind of feels like, I don't know, like we look around and a social norm is that the way we compete. In order to know that we're normal, we tend to compare ourselves to others, right? Relatively to this person, oh, okay, I'm in the same range, I'm pretty normal, right? That's normal, that's psychology teaches that. And we all do that. We subconsciously or consciously, somebody can say, oh, I don't compare myself to others. But subconsciously we do. We each compare ourselves to other people because we want to be accepted in society. But the minute we look at other people and we say, hey, he looks very successful. Look how much money he's bringing in. Or look at that mother. She's a mother at home, but she also works outside of the home, and look at that other girl. She went to school and she went to college. She has a degree, and I'm just an assistant teacher. And you start to think, maybe I should be like her. Maybe I should become more. Maybe I should stop doing what I'm doing and try to achieve more and be more successful. Just like the trolley driver. He wanted a taste of more success because what he was seeing didn't give him the giloyim, all that revelation and all that excitement. And he was looking to get something else. So, but that person is going off the track. You're not on the right track. People can be successful in life, however they look at what success is. In this world, success is very much money. And we are affected by it. Doesn't matter how firm or how spiritual we are affected by the society and by what success becomes. But the minute that we realize that, is that what the Eibishter cares about? Is that what makes me something in the Eibishter's eyes? to have more money? In the long term, what does the Eibishter want of me? What does my neshama need? What is my mission? What am I meant to do in this world? Is it to make more money? Is it to go to college and get my degree so that I can be successful and be a career woman? Is it to have that stigma, like that, well, stigma has a negative connotation, but that society, like for me to have that, for people to look at me and I can say to them, that's status, thank you, that's status. Oh, I do this, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm paralegal, or that's the fluff. That's not what we're really here for. That's where we all get carried, all of us get carried away. At some point we say, oh, I'm missing something. But we have to remember to be on the right track. How do you know if you're on the right track? How do you know if you're on the right track? What'd you say?
Look at the track you're on.
You look at the track, you study yourself and you say, is this what the Rebbe would want from me? If I was walking down the street and there I saw the Rebbe, would he be proud? Or would he be ashamed to say, just think in your head, would I be ashamed? So this to me is where a lot of us are, I think, are losing it. Because when you look at what many people, and look at yourself specifically, and where you were headed at a certain point, like I remember, it's so interesting, I actually have a bachelor's. I went to school because at one point I said, oh, maybe I should become being a special ed. I love to teach. And why am I going to sit in the classroom and not make the same amount of, and make such a limited amount of money when I can be doing P3 and making more money? So that's when I did my bachelor's, and I didn't have, my youngest was 2 then, and I wasn't expecting, and I was waiting to become pregnant. And it wasn't happening because Hashem didn't want it to happen. And then I said, oh, so I have all this time on my hands. Let me at least go to school now. My little ones are in school. My youngest was already in school. She was 2. And so I have all this time. Let me go to school. Why should I sit in a classroom and waste I have so much, I can make more money out of this, which is what a lot of us think. Because that's how we think as human beings, but not as Yidden. It's how we think with the Goyish cup, but not as Yid. And so I went to school and I got my bachelor's, and then it came to doing my master's. And most of my friends continued on with special ed. But I said, special ed. I don't really like special ed. Not really what my forte is. Why would I go into special ed? Just because everybody else is doing it? Because it's the easiest field to go into? So I said, oh, I love working with people. Maybe I should become a social worker. And then some little niggling thought, which was my neshama talking, started to say, Sara, you learned about this in high school. You had a whole report with Mrs. Gonsford about college and about somebody who goes to college is lacking bitachon. And of course, I'm not making generalizations now. There's always a time that somebody should pursue it, and if somebody already did it in the past, and the Rebbe encouraged many people to go to school and get their doctorates, and every person has their own path. But for me, why was I going? Why was I going to school? What was the purpose? What was the reason? Why? Was I not capable of doing other things without the degree? What did I need it for? And I questioned myself and I said, I'm a person who has a lot of trust, and I have faith in God. And I'm not concerned about my parnasa. I really am not. I know that the Eibishter will give me what I need. He will. Look, he'll provide. The Eibishter provides if we trust in him. What am I nervous about? Why am I doing this? What's the reason? And I couldn't find a valid reason why I was doing it. And with the help of my teachers, that brought out it made my neshama talk. And I didn't go to school. And then, what did I do? Hashem paved the path for me. And the path that I need to be on. And I'm so thankful that I didn't sit in school for that extra time because it's not where it was meant to be. So my point is that I guess Hashem, we have to remember that Hashem has a path for each of us. Our mission and our unique mission is so deep and is so real for each and every one of us. And we have to connect to our neshama and feel and have that mission statement of what we are here for. And it's interesting, when I was single, I guess some of your ages, this is going back a few years, we also had gatherings like this. I don't remember what it was called, but it was fascinating. And Simon Jacobson, I know you had Shandy Jacobson come and talk here. Simon came to speak to all of us, Rabbi Jacobson. And I remember him saying this, and I will never forget, and I don't have good memory. And he said, I have a mission statement, and I know what my mission is in this world. And when people call me up with asking me, can you do this, can you do that, would you join us at this event? If it meets with the mission that I know is my mission, then I'm happy to do it. And he told us what his mission was, to spread Chassidus through speaking and through writing. And he said, and some people call me and ask me to do things, and I have clarity of mind and say, no, it's not what I'm meant to do. So when he said that, I said, wow, how do you find that? To me, that was like, I was so idealistic also. I said, wow, I want to be that. And for many years I did struggle figuring that out, because I knew inside of me that I was meant to be doing something. My neshama was always calling. I didn't have a calmness, a peace of mind that I have now, because now I know my mission. Sometimes it takes a great challenge that Hashem gives us. That's really a gift. Challenges are gifts from the Eibusher to pave the way of where we're meant to go. So many people are challenged and run away from the challenge. They take alcohol. They run away. They're afraid of it, and it's scary. It can be. There's a lot of suffering involved many times with challenges, with whatever it is, with children, with health, with parnasa, with personal challenges. It's very difficult, and we want to run away from them. But really, the challenge is there as a gift. We're meant to go to that place. We're not meant to run away. It's not. It can be scary to face it, but we're meant to face it, because there, in that challenge, you will find part of your mission, part of your path. That's where you're going to find you. It's like the mimer that we learn about Chassidus Lamar. Some of us learned it in high school, where the concept of Mesiras Nefesh was brought out by Yidden, specifically Chassidus, when they were crushed. That's when the light came out. Because like from the olive, right, when you squeeze that olive, when the olive is crushed, what comes out? What comes out of olives? The oil. Yes, juice. But the oil is what's much more valuable than the olive. And it's the essence, exactly. And how does that come out specifically? When you have the essence. And how do you have a person's essence? How do we strip away all those layers that are covering us up and covering up our neshamas? How do we strip that away? Specifically when we're challenged, when we're crushed. Then the real you comes out. That's when you find the real you. So any challenge that you're all going through, and each of us have challenges. Nobody has a life without challenges. So any challenge that you're going through, know, even though it's hard, but know that it's a gift. I can't tell you it's a gift, but you have to come to that conclusion on your own. And you will. If you go there, you'll find that it's a gift. And you'll see slowly how it brings out your neshama and who you really are. And when a person makes themselves vulnerable, thank you. When a person makes themselves vulnerable and allows themselves to be vulnerable, that will be the real you coming out. a few years ago, I don't think I would be comfortable sitting around here and doing this Farbrengen. I may have been feeling inhibited or feeling like, really, what do I have to share, or uncomfortable. But once a person finds what their mission is and finds who they are for real, it's okay to let yourself be vulnerable. You know that this is what you're meant to do and to help others. I don't know if I'm talking floaty or you guys are following. Are you following what I'm saying? Do you want to sing a niggin? Are you used to doing niggunim? Singing? Oh, okay. So we can sing. Any of you know the niggin? Ayayam, 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 Today's Hayom Yom, actually, did any of you read it today? It's a beautiful Hayom Yom about Nikunim. And it says that in the world of kashering, there's we as women actually are supposed to know this because we're meant to be kashering our chicken. And I'm sure our grandmothers did it. And some of us learned it in school, but it's because we have it done for us, not all of us know the halachas. But kashering has 3 parts to it. The first is soaking. In order to get rid of the blood, we soak. Second is that we salt. And third is that we rinse. And it's so interesting. Today I visited somebody in the hospital, and she wasn't really religious, but she was telling me how the meat, like sometimes she doesn't always eat the kosher meat, but she noticed that kosher meat has so much more flavor to it because it just has that salt naturally from the salting process. And the ruchnius, the Hayom Yom says, the ruchnius part of our kashering of ourselves is the soaking was soaking ourselves in the Rebbe's words, soaking ourselves in the words of the Rebbe. The salting was Yechidus, being with the Rebbe in Yechidus. And the rinsing was, what was the rinsing? Singing and nigging, exactly. Singing and nigging rinses us of the blood. The blood, I guess, representing the physicality that's covering us up. And I connect to Nibbin so strongly. It can bring me to tears. But this is what a niggin does for all of us. It rinses us. It rinses us of anything that's stopping us from our neshama from shining. There's an interesting story of Yehuda Avner. He worked with 5 prime ministers in Eretz Yisrael, and many of you may have seen this gem. It was a gem video. And he begins by saying that he went into Yechidus in 1977 to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe hadn't entered the room, and the Rebbe asked him, he said, why isn't that you're not part of us? Why aren't you one of us? Signifying, why aren't you one of my Chassidim? And it was a very late hour of the evening, and he says to Yehuda on Jem, he says, you know, I felt like maybe I was overstepping my boundaries, but because it was such a late hour, I told the Rebbe that many in my family think that the Rebbe doesn't realize many things about himself, like almost saying like the Rebbe doesn't know really who he is.
Right?
Yeah, he said that to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe answered and said, well, apparently some people need crutches. And then he moved on in the conversation, and the Rebbe said, I want to tell you a little bit about what I do. And Yehuda Avner was listening, and he said, imagine I tell you, Yehuda, open up the cupboard. And you open up the cupboard, and there you see a candle, a lump of wax with a wick inside. And I were to tell you, that's not a candle. That's a lump of wax. That's a lump of wax. It's not a candle. What would make it become a candle, Yehuda? What makes the candle be a candle? If it's lit, if it has a fire. This is what I do. I ignite the fire in each person. The candle is the body, right? Our physical body. Inside the body, there's a wick. The wick is the neshama. And the Rebbe said, what I do is try to ignite the flame onto the neshama. This is what I do. Essentially what he was saying is that I ignite souls. I ignite neshamas. This is what a Rebbe does. He ignites neshamas. And he looked, Yehuda Avner looked at the Rebbe, okay. And they continued on to another part of the conversation. And by the way, what is the fire? What does the fire represent? How does the Rebbe ignite a flame? Through what? Through Tyra. Tyra is compared to fire, right? Tyra is H. Tyra is compared to fire. Through Tyra, I ignite the flame. On his way out, he looked at the Rebbe, and he had the bravery, or I don't know if it was the chutzpah, he says, to say, Rebbe, did you ignite my flame? And the Rebbe looked at him and said, no, I gave you the match. Now only you can ignite your flame. So this is what the Rebbe is to us. The Rebbe is here. When I say here, I mean here. But only if we connect and if we reach out to the Rebbe, will he be there for us. That's the way faith works. That's the way people wonder, you get answers in the Ikris Kodesh, you open up and you see an answer. And some people get very clear answers, word for word answers. And there's other people who don't believe and don't have the same faith. They look at you like you're crazy. And they say, really? You get answers? That's mental hogwash. You really listen to what the Rebbe tells you no. But this is what faith is. when a person has faith, that's when the Rebbe answers. The Rebbe won't answer somebody who doesn't trust in a Rebbe. When it says in davening, "Vayaminu v'Hashem v'Moshe Avdei," and when people question, why are you making the Rebbe into a fill in the blank? Torah tells us that you need a Rebbe. They believe in Hashem and in Moshe, his servant. We need a Rebbe in order to connect to the Erev. And if we reach out to the Rebbe is going to light our candle. If you want your neshama lit, you have to reach out to the Rebbe. And you have to talk to him. And have conversations with him. And when I say that, I mean real conversations. If it's because you need help, you say, "Rebbe, I need help." Talk to the Rebbe's picture. You don't have to go to the aisle to have a conversation with the Rebbe. And you'll see the Rebbe is going to give you an answer. You're going to, somehow, the Rebbe finds a way. If the Rebbe will, the Rebbe will, okay. If the Rebbe wants, we'll find a way. And it happens in the funniest ways. Somebody comes over to you and tells you a story. Somebody will come over to you and deliver you Chassidus Shederher, and the first page of the Chassidus Shederher has the answer for you. You open up an Ikros, you'll have the answer. You have to have faith in the Rebbe. That's what our generation needs. If we want Mashiach to come, we have to have trust in a Rebbe. There's a fascinating story from the Gemara in the Talmud that's written about Rebbe Elazar. Well, we'll call him Rebbe for now. Rebbe Elazar ben Dordaya. Are any of you familiar? Rebbe Elazar ben Dordaya was actually a heretic. He went off the way completely. He followed
a teacher.
So not that I'm familiar with, but I'm sure there's somebody else.
Not like that we're sort of following him like.
No, that's
right.
awful.
Right. So Rebbe Elazar ben Dordaya was somebody who went off the way, and he followed his lust and his passions. And one day, his colleague actually spoke to him and said a comment that kind of triggered some introspection. And he knew he needed to do tshuva. And he wanted to do tshuva. And he wanted to change. He wanted to transform himself. And he called out to the mountains and the hills, and he said, "Mountains and hills, arouse God's mercy. Call out, bring about mercy for me." And they said, "Mercy for you? We have to cry for mercy for ourselves." And then he saw he had no hope with the mountains. He called out to the heavens and the earth. He said, "Heavens and earth, help me. Bring about mercy for me." And they said, "Mercy for you? We have to bring about mercy for ourselves." And he cried out again and he said, "Sun and the moon, bring about mercy to me." And again, they said, "We have to bring about mercy for ourselves." And finally, in a climax of his, you have to understand, he was completely torn. His neshama was calling and he knew he had to return. But how was he going to return if he went so far off? And he calls out from the deepest recesses of his soul and he says, "Stars and planets have aroused mercy for me." And he said, "We have to arouse mercy for ourselves." And it was at that moment that he realized, "Ein hadavar toloi ella bi." The Gemara says, it's not this thing of my return is not dependent only on me. It's only dependent on me. The only way I can come to tshuva is not from the mountains, not from the stars. It's only dependent on me. And he put his head in his knees and he began to sob. And with that, his neshama left him. And at that same moment, a voice from heaven, Basco, calls out and says, "Elazar ben Dordaya has entered the world to come." Rebbe Elazar ben Dordaya has entered the world to come. And when they passed on this news to Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, he heard this and he said to his student, "Yesh shekoine olamai b'sha'a achas." With a question mark, could it be that there's people who work all the years of their life to do tshuva? Could it be that you can accomplish tshuva in one moment? It disturbed him. So let's explain what we're referring to here. What is the deeper message? What was going on in this conversation? In his conversation with the mountains, in his conversation, what was he asking? And the Mepharshim explained that Elazar ben Jediah was actually trying to shift his responsibility and take his own responsibility of his own sins and putting it on the mountains and the hills. When he asked the mountains and the hills to arouse mercy, he was actually referring to his parents, saying, my parents caused me this. They didn't raise me properly. They didn't give me what I needed, and that's why I went off. It's my parents' fault. Sorry, we can't arouse mercy for you. He saw that didn't work, so he went to the heavens and the earth. Heavens and earth, referring to society, my environment. And we all know the environment affects us. My environment did this to me, society, the people around me. They didn't have hope in me, and they lost faith in me. They did it to me. Sorry, that's not the case. And then he turned to the sun and the moon, which represent the pleasures of the world, society and its pleasures. And he said, it's the world. They didn't give me values. Society didn't give me values. Society gave me pleasure and gave me a life of lust. And so I didn't have my neshama. Sorry. And then the last climax that he felt would be the only way out was mazel, the stars and the planets. And he said, my mazel, it's my mazel. The Eibishter gave me this mazel, bad luck. Every person is destined to their own mazel. We each have mazel. We say mazel tov. There is a concept of mazel. And he didn't know that the answer to that would be ein mazel b'Yisrael. There's no concept of limitation to mazel in the nation of Israel. And I remember learning this as a girl because we can each overcome our own mazel. We can overcome our destiny through soul searching, through trust. This is the way we can overpower our destiny, through simcha. Simcha pirates gather. These are tricks that we're given. Chassidus gives us tricks of how we can overcome these obstacles that perhaps a gzeira is against us. And we are not limited to mazel. And a deeper explanation of that is ayin mazel b'Yisrael. Who's ayin? Who's called ayin in Chassidus? Hashem. The Eibishter is the mazel in Yisrael. Is the Eibishter limited? We're chas v'shalom. We're not limited. The Eibishter has no limitations. We're not limited to the Eibishter. The Eibishter is not limited to us. He'll give us the shefa, but we have to be the keli to accept it. And the only way you can be the keli to accept it is if you have trust in the Eibishter. If you trust that the Eibishter is going to do it for you, then he'll do it for you. It's about having true trust. And having true trust is all about letting go and not being in control. Because in this life, we're raised, you have to be independent. You have to answer for yourself. You're the one who's in charge. Take responsibility for yourself, right? But really, we're not in control. At the same time, it's kind of like a paradox, oxymoron. We are not in control, and the Eibishter shows us that we're not in control as a gift. Through the challenges he gives us, he's trying to teach us you're not in control. You see things are spiraling and look like they're out of control because you're not in control. And the moment that we realize that we're not in control, we're free. Then I could come sit here and talk to 1,000 people. I'm not afraid. Because who am I? I'm just Sara. And I'm not in control. The Eibishter is in control. This is how we get over our fears. So I got a little distracted, but we can get back to the Tafan soon if we have time. But the Mikubalim, basically what he was doing essentially is blaming everything, not taking responsibility for himself. When it came to Tshuva, he was blaming everybody else. I was destined to this. My parents did it to me. The values of my society. He wasn't taking responsibility. But as soon as he realized that he had no other choice, Then he took responsibility for himself, and at that moment, when he was so real with the Eivishter, then the Eivishter allowed him. That was real tshuva. He was so real. The Mikubalim actually explained who was this Rebbe Lazar ben Dodaya. He was actually a Gilgal of Yechanan the Kohen Gadol, who was a Kohen Gadol for 80 years, but then he became a heretic. And because he became a heretic, the neshama needed to come down again in the body of Rebbe Lazar ben Dodaya. And the moment Rebbe Lazar ben Dodaya did this tshuva, it kind of repented, and it fulfilled the neshama's mission, the neshama of Rabbi Yechanan the Kohen Gadol. And the deeper explanation of this, and it's fascinating, the Maharal Prague explains this concept by saying that the name, and this fascinates me, of Elazar ben Dodaya actually represents Kel Ezer. Elazar, Kel, God, Ezer, help, Dodaya. Dodaya is in Aramaic, is a Talmudic word for meaning sediment of wine. The sediment, the not good part of the wine that seeps to the bottom. Hashem helps the one who is like sediment, who falls to the bottom of the cup of wine, who kind of like Rebbe Elazar ben Dodaya, who lost himself in tshuva. He felt so low that at that moment, when he decided to take responsibility for himself, at that moment of lowness, this is when the Eivishter helps him. So, because it was real, you see, when is there a moment of truth? When is there something real? When we are stripped of all those layers, like we said before, when we're stripped of the personality and of our jobs. Like when somebody loses a job, then he starts to question, who am I? Am I my job? I don't have the job anymore. Then what am I now? He's in panic mode. I don't have a job. What are people going to think? People are going to ask me what I do, and then I say I'm out of a job. No, that's a gift. That is the moment that he realizes he's not in control. That is the moment that he's at that low point, that he's so vulnerable, that he's so real with the Eivishter. That is when you become real with the Eivishter. When you lose those layers. When you're just an olive, right? And you're crushed. You're crushed. That's when the oil is going to come out. That's when the real you is going to come out. From those challenges. So, why was Rabbi Yehuda questioning? Remember we said Rabbi Yehuda questioned Rabbi Elazar ben Dodaya how he can have achieved tshuva in one moment. How was it that he can achieve tshuva? Oh, it takes 1 second? We're working on this for years. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, right? He's the one who signed the Talmud. The Mishnah, could you imagine? He's been working on this for years. He's a great scholar, a sage, working on himself and his connection with the Eivishter. And here, Rabbi Elazar ben Dodaya, who's sinning his whole life, achieved Ayom Haba in a moment? What's going on here? Really, Rabbi Shachat, I once listened to Rabbi Shachat from California, who has a yeshiva there. He explains and he says, he has the right to question Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, because what he was really essentially questioning was the point of tshuva. When a person does tshuva, the point of tshuva isn't that his soul expires and that's it, that's the end of his life. No. The point of tshuva, what tshuva is finding your mission, is doing what you need to do in this world, is keeping your neshama in your body and returning to your soul. Returning to what you're meant to do. It's not the Alter Rebbe explains that tshuva is not only for somebody who sins. We think of tshuva, we think of a sinner. Oh, I sinned. Hashamnu bagadnu, I sinned, right? Which we all do. I mean, I do. I sin. That's not what tshuva is for only. Tshuva is for living what you're meant to be living as. Fulfilling your mission. Doing what your neshama needs to do in this world. Doing what you need to be doing. Not just Hashem Bagadnu, Eivishter, I'm sorry for what I did wrong. It's returning to what you're meant to do. Why does it say return? Return to what? Return means you're going back to something that was already there. Right? Shuva Yisrael, return nation of Israel. You are Israel. Return to who you are as Israel. Return to who you are to your neshama. And then, that's true tshuva. So that's what tshuva is. We need to celebrate our neshamas, our souls, and what we're meant to do in this world and finding our mission. And I personally, I want to add that the way, every person's different. Everybody connects different with their spiritual journey, with their ruchnius. But for me, I find tefillah, and this is where Rosh Hashana is a time of prayer, is such an important time to find yourself. Because in davening, if you just concentrate on the meaning of the words, you will see and learn so much about yourself. Right? When we say in Karbanos, Kum Chachamim, Kum Nevoinim, to Hashem, these things are nothing. What means something to the Eibishter? The neshama that's in us. If you concentrate on the words in davening, it will bring you to have stronger connection. It will bring your neshama, awaken your neshama, and arouse your neshama. So now that we're coming closer to Rosh Hashanah, it's so important, however you want to do it, take an English shmachta. Read the English. All of it is true. Sometimes we have a hard time translating the Hebrew, and we don't know what it means. So take an English master, and before even Rosh Hashanah, go through some of the tefillahs so that you can have a heads up. The tefillahs are beautiful, how they connect us to the Eibishter. And what can I say? You guys are welcome to ask questions. Maybe we can touch a little bit on how we are meant to find our mission. So some people find it earlier than others just because of the way their journey was, just because Hashem gave them certain challenges, and because the person came to overcome the challenge. And how does a person know they overcame their challenge if it doesn't exist anymore? If the challenge just withers away. And challenges do wither away when you have trust. Trust in the Eibishter makes challenges just go away. Okay, and this is true. And how does the person know if he has true trust? He has menuchas hanefesh. If while he's going through that challenge, while he's challenged with his health, the doctor's just saying things that are really not good. But the person is such peace of mind because he knows that Eibishter is going to help him. That level of trust, that is when you know that you had true trust. So how do we know what our mission is? Through the journey that Eibishter puts us on. Hashem's going to send you there. He's taking you there now. You're there at that moment, at this moment. And those challenges that you have, you're meant to go there, to go to that place and face it. Try and face it and overcome. Because that's where you're going to find the neshama. That's where you're going to find you in those places of challenge. How else can we find what our mission is? What did we say? Who helps us find our mission? Who helps us find our mission? The Rebbe. When we connect to the Rebbe helps you find your mission. The Rebbe is a soul. He is the one that will help you find what your mission is. He's the one who lights your candle. But then once you have the Rebbe's Chassidus and the Rebbe's everything, then you can light your own flame. Say it again? Yes.
Down, look down your weight because you think like either you're following something else or you're being yourself. So you guys are using your perspective and like.
So it's interesting that you say that. That's exactly the war of a person and their neshama. We think as individuals that we have our own. As Chassidim, and specifically Tmimin, the Rebbe writes this in a letter, there's two paradoxical things that are going on here. On the one hand, we have tremendous potential. We have the potential, we're told that we have tremendous potential to change people's lives, to change things. On the other hand, we know that we're nothing in comparison to the Eibishter. We're really nothing. We're really nothing. The Eibishter is everything. Ein Milvado. The Eibishter is everything. And we're nothing. On the other hand, we're Matthias. We're actually people, and we're meant to be doing something in this world. So that's the paradox. It's a paradox of bittul. the relationship between a Rebbe and Chassid is bittul. Is saying, Rebbe, I'm for you. Everything that you want for me to do, I'm going to do it. And the Rebbe knows what we're meant to do. So the Rebbe guides us and guides us to what we're meant to do. And we accept it open-handedly because the Rebbe knows what we're meant to do. He knows our mission. So once he tells us, this is your mission, then we're dedicated to the cause and we say, I am dedicated to you, Rebbe. I am dedicated to your Chassidus. I am dedicated to spreading Chassidus. I am going to put my own comfort aside and do what my neshama needs to do. So, does that clarify? No. So, the paradox of us being a somebody and having our own initiative and our own concerns and what we want to do, okay, we each have our own wants. I want to go for ice cream. But is that what the Eibishter wants of you at this moment? So if the Eibishter wants of you something else than what you want, is that a contradiction? Is that a contradiction? If you want to do something that you want to do, like go. Right. But that's exactly, it's the whole challenge of who we are as Hasidim and as Yidden. We need to know that our mission is really, we're sent down, our neshamas are sent down to fulfill a higher purpose for the Eibishter, not to do what. Exactly. So that's exactly what you just answered your own question. Absolutely. Thank you for reminding me to say, actually have it down. Tshuva from Simcha. It has to be in a way of Simcha. That's what Chassidim are. Chassidim are Simcha, full of energy. And if we only knew what Simcha accomplishes, when a person lacks Simcha, he can't get out of his gullahs. When we lack Simcha and we're depressed, depression is not a midah. Depression in Atzvus is not a midah. It's not counted like anxiety. Anxiety is considered a midah according to the Tanya, but depression is not. Because it's the worst thing. A person who's depressed is not going to be able to get out of his gullahs. Depression for nothing. When a person is just depressed and just feels low about himself, you need to force yourself to get out of that. Force yourself. Just do a crazy dance. Do something that's not. Look at yourself in the mirror with a funny face and make yourself get out of it. You have to. You have to stay away from that. And once you get out of that and get out of that depression, then light will come to you. That's when the light will come. By following the Rebbe's directives, by reading the Rebbe's letters, and the Rebbe will guide you. There was one point that I was at a place that was very, very low because I was facing something very, very big, a big challenge. And I said to myself, oh, I just have to accept this. This is just what's going to be. It's going to be the new me. It's going to be a different me. And I was so depressed. And I then I said to myself, wait. I remember when something happened to you the year before and you had trust in the Eibishter and your trust helped. Trust in Hashem helps. Even though it looks so bad and everything looks like it's against you, if you trust, it's going to get you out. And that was the neshama talking. It was a little voice that was so little that the depression wanted to overwhelm it. But that little voice called out again. And I said to myself, what do I have to lose? I have nothing to lose. Let me just trust. Why should I be depressed? I have the second chance. I could still trust and bring about better things for myself. And that's what I did. I looked at the Rebbe's letter, and that letter of the Rebbe was talking about every single Yid is deserving of everything good materially and spiritually. Every Yid is deserving of everything good to be in his life, both physical and spiritual. That's the way of a Yid. But if for some reason there's a gzeira where the person sins, So therefore, there's something that's not right working for him. How does he get out of it? And I said, oh, the Rebbe's giving me this answer. Tell me, how do I get out of it? And the Rebbe writes and quotes the Zohar. What the Zohar says, when a person acts with a happy countenance from below and is happy, then this arouses the upper world to respond to him as such, in a happy way. Because this world is like a precious stone, the Zohar says, and is absorbing. Everything that we do is reflected again by the Eibishter. So when we are happy, it forces that the Eibishter is happy, and the world above, all the spiritual worlds, reflect happiness upon us, because we are there. Everything in the physicality of this world is a direct reflection of the spiritual. So when we have happiness, it gets us down. I said, oh, light bulb, I'm going to force myself to be happy now. That's my answer. I'm going to get out. And I got out. Because once I forced myself to be happy, and my way of forcing myself was I started to dance. I was very weak, because when a person is depressed and in a low state, it takes out all the physical energy of a human being. You don't eat when you're depressed. You don't have an appetite. You're weak because it overcomes you. But as soon as I was happy, I forced myself and I started to dance. However, I danced. And I danced, and I danced. And I started to plot and laugh. And I got out of it. Because once I was in that happy place, then I was able to tackle my challenge. Because when you're happy, a little bit of light. Just a little bit of light. Right? Right? You know the song? Right? So just a little bit of light pushes away all the darkness. And thank you so much for bringing up that point. Simcha is the answer to our generation and our Avodah. And once we push ourselves to be happy, the Eibishter will reflect that attitude on us. And this is how we overcome our mazel, our destiny, by having happiness. It's Simcha Peretz Geder, and Tzedakah also. We noticed that this is Tanya now. Giving a lot of Tzedakah also brings upon us the Rahmanas of the Eibishter. So I wish all of you, getting late. You should each have a zita year, a sweet year, a good conventional year, but a sweet new year. A year full of revealed good. And we don't want those challenges. We don't want the good that's hidden, that looks not good, but has hidden good inside. We want revealed good. And we will be benched with it. We will be benched with it so long as we're happy and we follow the Rebbe's directives and we go in the Rebbe's path and the ways of Chassidus. When you follow the ways of Chassidus, that's it. You have the answer. It's the truth. Do you want anything less than the truth? Who wants something less than the truth? Why would you choose anything less? So let's commence this by saying that each of us are Bali Tshuva. Every one of us are Bali Tshuva, because what is Tshuva? Tshuva is returning to yourself at every moment. It's that war that we each have of wanting the physical things, but really returning to our spiritual self, to what our neshama wants. And this is a war we fight every moment. So each of us should be able to be on the level of Bal Tshuva, that we really accomplish doing Tshuva every day of our lives. Thank you for having me. Huh?
Are you up for our tradition? Healthy?
Yes. I
would like to say thank you to my mother-in-law for sponsoring this healthy thing.
Oh, really?
She says that it's a limited tradition, so she thought as well.
You know, it's so interesting because really a selfie is really the opposite of what Chassidus teaches us. No, because think about it. Everything, all the technology today really denotes everything that we learn in Chassidus. Selfie is all about the self. The whole passion that we all have about ourselves today is the opposite of what Chassidus teaches.
Let's call selfie an
Selfless. It's
selfless,
a
unprofessional picture. Unprofessional picture.
And number. Wait, I'm missing someone. Yeah. There we go. Yay! 1, 2, 3. Cheers. And one more. 1, 2, 3. Yay! Thank you. Now,
I'm going to call it
1, 2.
Oh, you guys are safe, man. What is it longer?
Yes, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to give us this incredible boost for Rosh Hashana. And it says Chassidus that Mayach shall tell live, and you're giving the food for thought so we can feel connected. So thank you very, very much. Again, I want to thank Daniela for sponsoring the gift and her entire family of convoys. And praise and thanks to Hashem, to Hashem's infinite goodness and kindness and protecting from harm. And keeping my sister safe, Ariel Voss Esther. A huge thank you to Ariella for her endless work in making all of our events happen. She comes first and she leaves last. A huge thank you to Deborah and Tamar for coming early and helping us set up today. Also, a huge thank you to Adina for posting the daily reading of on the WhatsApp and for setting up the WhatsApp for us. Thank you to Chaim on stuff for keeping track of all the quotas, all of your little hand marks and whatever's that you put on the WhatsApp. She's the one who keeps track of it. And a ginormous thank you to each and every single one of you. I know tonight is heavy and Shabbos and Rosh Hashana is coming. I just gave everybody a hard time. Shabbos is coming and Rosh Hashana, and thank you so much for taking the time to spend it together with all of us.
So special. You know what's special? I find that it's so unique to have women that want to have this, because so many of us get lost in just the excitement of the physical world and get carried away by other things. And the fact that you want to come here it warms my heart. It really, and the Rebbe has such an office for me.
Thank you.
Amen. Umasuka.
Amen. And I'll see you guys next year.
You know, yeah. Amen. You're welcome. I mean, I have 4 more minutes. He's coming in 4 minutes. If you guys want to say something or you want me to talk a little bit about it, please. So I'm sure you want to go, but I'm going to be here for 4 more minutes. It's interesting. The word daiga I always repeat this because it's so, I love it. Daiga means worry, and it's missing 1 letter. It has the first 5 letters in the Jewish alphabet, but it's missing 1. Which one is that? What do you think that is? The person worries, he's missing trust in Erev. And how does he regain that trust? Through having. How does he lose his worry? What's the litmus test for trust? The person's worrying. If the person's worrying, it means he's lacking trust. How does he know if he has full trust if he's not worrying? And as soon as he has full trust, full bitachon, what does that do? It brings about the bracha. Base for bracha. The revealed good. So if a person wants revealed good in his life, if he's missing revealed goodness in any Abani Chayim Mizani, what does he have to do? Trust. And it's the avodah of this generation, because through the trust of the woman in this generation, and it's going to happen. Mashiach is going to come. We're going to see it with our own eyes. It will happen. But we need to have trust. We need women that are going to trust. No, I mean this, for real. Because the women in that generation that trusted, that's what got them out. The Rebbe says that it's the trust, it's the kiboy, it's the hope that the women are going to have that's going to bring Mashiach. So if you guys want to be from those women that trust in God, you have that choice to make. You can be the woman who's going to play on her tambourine. When Mashiach comes, you'll be one of those women. If you don't choose to, then you won't. But we need you. Because we need Mashiach to come. And the only way he's going to come is through the Tacham.
You don't have everything I agree with.
Exactly. I have a few heroes in my house.
I don't have money.
You need a tambourine. But not only the tambourine represents trust. The tambourine.
Tambourine painting party.
Wow. That's gorgeous.
Painting party.
Could you get more excited about it? I want to see it. But really, guys, trust. We need to trust, and we really need to be real with our trust in Hashem and work on it. And sometimes we're forced to work on it. Some of us are forced because we don't have a choice. We're pushed against the wall with the challenges that we go through. But we don't want to wait for those challenges to come. We want to be able to have trust even without having such a big challenge, right? So do it. Don't wait for a big challenge to come.
I read somewhere they said that in one family they would hang every time when they went to bed, they would have his children hang up their Shabbos clothes by the front door to throw them on when they would do the shayfer.
Okay.
So they were like ready every night when they went to
But
bed.
it has to be coming from within.
I know. But
Sometimes
little kids, for like little kids.
Little kids feel it much more than I. You wanted to say something?
I just want to know, like, if you have this massive challenge,
Yeah.
how do you know it's not Hashem saying you're on the wrong track? Like,
How do you know it's not? Sometimes. Well, I can't be the one to tell a person that your challenge is to tell you to go back on the right path. If a person's thinking in his head, maybe this is trying to get me to a different place. Maybe I need to be on the right path. Very often that's what challenges do. But it doesn't mean you're on the wrong path completely. It means that the Eibishter wants you to find yourself more. It means that there's something there that the Eibishter wants you to know about. And without that challenge, you wouldn't know. Like a gift. A gift. Like I wouldn't be able to speak like this a few years ago. I would just be uncomfortable and intimidated. But because of challenges I had and that I overcame, now I'm able to talk and give to others. And I'm so much happier than I was before. So the challenges that you have are really going to make you happier. Say it again? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's coming in 2 minutes. I took an Uber pool.
they found someone else.
It's actually interesting because when I was said that.
And you said what? What you mentioned before?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I remember the Rebbe letter. I'm just getting soft.
Yeah.
Rebbe was presenting, I don't know, Rebbe was writing on getting a Shpia. Shpia is like, kind of like, brings you generally like are going a straight path. You go to zigzag.
Yes,
And then
exactly.
like, maybe
Hello? You outside? I'm coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Really.
Sure. See you want to see what's there with everything.
Thank you, everybody.
I earned it. I'm actually trying to be really good. I don't have a baby excuse.
You still do.
I have more. I did just give birth last year.
Last time was
Oh, the little notepads.
Yes.
Can I have one? Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That's awesome. I feel like so ready.
She seems like
She's really cool.
she's like very like
You're gonna be
She's really amazing.
like, what? Are you